And yep, right now it seems like that everybody is accounted for, everybody moving on the minimap, and looking at the civilizations, we have Mayans and Hans, a proper mirror, kinda usual on this kind of map, so you won't be seeing any kind of funny strategies or whatnot, so let's see who is going to be able to actually execute the strategy better here. From RoRs or PoJs.
I think it's
Oh.
nice that both sides are a Hun versus a Mine player. So that'll be a interesting way to see how the Hun player will react to the Mine rush.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
hoping, I'm honestly hoping that one of the Hun players will go for a scout rush and just really ignore their guy and just go 2v1 other Mine player.
Yeah, that's definitely something that will be interesting to see how they actually approach the game. Right now I'm looking at Bustos' base. He's having those two stones in pretty favorable position, I would have to say. And looking how he's Mayan, that could help him in the castles and whatnot. That's very close to his TC, so I would be expecting right between them. There's going to be second TC. That's basically a pretty clear spot for that, I would say. And it might be very easy for him to go into the later game because of that, because if he can defend the stone, which is crucial for the castles and whatnot, it will be all that easier for him, the Imperial Age and whatnot.
Oh, Villager has a really nice map for like the early Castle Age. Got like 2 forests, a goal, a stone, all in one spot. It's like you
Yeah,
chuck a single TC there and then that's perfectly safe.
the berries with the hunt in there, that's pretty sweet spot for a mill, and he's having all the bars, he's literally having everything in one place, exactly as you say. That's definitely going to help him, as it's going to be very easy to defend, obviously. But also could be easily raided if he's not careful enough, so yeah, it's also going to end up kinda who is going to be better skilled in here, but I don't really think with his 1800 he should be underestimating the position here. Yeah, right now asking his ally Jon Snow how they are actually going to wall. And looking at this map in the forefront, it shouldn't be really all that hard to wall because of the cliff that's very nicely placed in there. You should be having easy time putting 2 walls on the right side and potentially in the front next to the hill. That could be something that he needs to capture because obviously of the hill. If he doesn't, that could be a bit of a problem, especially if he was raided by some archers by the opponent Mayan, so that could be something to look out for. But otherwise, it really seems like a pretty great map for Villager, exactly as you said. I don't really see
And
any...
like,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say that like both Bustos and Jon Snow have quite open fronts to their maps. It'll be
Yeah,
quite
quite a lot.
difficult for the Mine players to do like a rush wall FC. Like,
Well,
especially Jon Snow, because he's got his gold and stone out on that right hand side. Like
yeah,
that's so
looking
hard
at
to wall.
Bustos, I actually cannot really at this point think of a way how we can somehow wall. He has literally nothing in there in front of his TC. So yeah, that's not really ideal for him and potentially could be something that their opponents could take advantage of. Right now, Villager has been scouting there, so I'm going to have a look into his point of view. If he really saw what's happening all around the base. Well, he knows where the TC is, but otherwise not much more than that, but potentially if he goes for another run with the scout around the tree line there, he could be seen pretty easily how open his opponent is, and that could be quite deadly because...
Oh, Bustos got his eagle walled in.
Oh yeah.
In Villager's base.
That's
Oh, that
quite
is
nice.
sweet.
That's very nicely played by Villager right there. So yeah, he's definitely paying enough attention, as you were saying a bit earlier, that it's going to be easier for him to defend. And I'm switching into Bustos. And how much has he actually scouted? Well, he has scouted quite decently around his base, so he's not going to miss all that much. He knows basically about the placement of the gold, extra hunt, and extra stone as well, so he doesn't really need that all that much. And he knows where his opponent is, so if he goes for potentially the Thrash here, if he wants to, well, he would be having quite an easy time going into his opponent, but so far it doesn't seem like to be the case. It's probably going to be just the Hunts going for a Thrash. Villager is definitely preparing right now with extra walling with the palisades on the left next to the stone, And well, Jon Snow is also having right now militias in his barracks, and it really seems like that both of the RORs are going for a bit of a rush. Whereas I don't see anything like that from PoJs, as both Chart and Bustos are not having barracks up right now. At least Red is picking up barracks.
We have 2 Drush FCs versus an Archer Flush and a Scout Rush. So this is going to be a very strange game. Definitely not what I would expect. Especially from Bustos going for Archer Rush.
Yeah, Bustos right now
Nobody does
dropping
Archer
militias
rushes.
at least for a bit of a defense. But I'm really curious how Yellow is going to react to this. He's right now also dropping barracks, but is he going to be... Well, he should be fast enough because obviously Green is just now coming with his militias in and it's still going to be quite some time. But still, he will be definitely faster than Yellow and might be a bit of a problem. Let's see. Potentially if he... Oh yeah, I was looking at the wolf and right there. So potentially if Jon Snow went the wrong way, he could have been a bit of a trouble. But well, that's not going to be the case here. And barracks up for Yellow. I'm going to switch into Chart to have a look if he's going... No, he's actually not. So right now he's going for a stable and will be dropping some Scout Cavalry pretty soon. Just going to check on the left where we have a bit of a fight between the militias of Red and Blue. With Blue definitely having the advantage of the extra scout, and well, that was weird going with the villager from Bustos in there. He's probably going to lose him, especially if he's going to mismanage the micro here. But so far... Oh, Man at Arms! That's a bit of a surprise for Blue at this point, I would say.
Oh, it was really nice timing though. Like the upgrade finished just in time to get in there and fight.
Yeah, exactly when he got there. But, oh well, he's playing pretty risky Bustos with the villager in there. Really don't think he wants to lose him, but it's really looking like he will.
Oh, I don't think it's gonna survive.
That's one hit. Right about now. Yeah, goodbye. So I would at this point say that it was kind of successful, because it has killed one villager who wasn't even gathering for quite a lot of time, and he also basically forced his opponent into Man at Arms. And I'm not exactly sure what kind of extra damage Bustos could be doing with that, so that's quite a lot of resources actually wasted in there, I would say. And really, that was Drush well spent for a villager at this stage. Yeah, Drush from Jon Snow is right now killed through the Scout Cavalry by Chart at the very back of the map, and well, right now they will be going for a bit of a raiding, but looking how they are kinda half dead, it should be pretty reasonably easy to defend for Jon Snow, but he doesn't have any kind of army so far, as he will be probably right now aiming for... Yeah, I would be guessing archery ranges, obviously, as the Mayan here. That's usually what you do. But so
but
far...
Jon Snow's go isn't good at the moment. Going for a market, so he's definitely gonna have to buy some food to get up to Castle Age.
And even though RORs are having an advantage in the economy, they are having 31 and 30 villages above 28 for both Bustos and Chart. So I'll be guessing that Bustos and Chart should be advancing into Castle Age, maybe sometime soon. And we have actually missed that villager is so far still in Dark Age.
Oh, and villagers just lost a villager. Villager lost a villager.
Some kind of really weird build from villager at this stage. He opted for quite a lot of extra villagers, and I'm not really sure how it happened that he didn't advance into the next age sooner, because that's quite a lot of difference.
Oh, and the quick gate getting denied there.
Yeah, it didn't work out. I'm not exactly sure if he's even going to finish the wall, or rather the tower. He's sending a lot of villagers in, because he definitely needs it. So he is going to finish it, but he's going to lose quite a lot of villies in the process. And with having all those extra men-at-arms in there, he can actually kill the tower by himself, I think, if he's careful enough with the micro. And he's very nicely standing right under the tower so that he actually can't shoot.
Just lost so many villagers there. I think it's about 4 villagers dead now?
Yeah.
5 vills?
Well, he was having like 32 or some such, and he's right now at 26. That's pretty bad at this stage of the game.
So horrible.
And I'm not exactly sure what his game plan is, because obviously he was hoping that he can actually defend himself, especially with the later advance into the feudal age. So he opted for some kind of stronger echo, which was basically nullified by the raiding from red, and well, yeah, that's going to be a bit problematic, especially with red having so many archers right next to his base, also at the top side. So yeah, this is just disaster waiting to happen for Villager, I would say.
Oh, that just hurt his eco so much though. Like, he has no one on gold, and half of his woodline is idle for a couple of minutes there.
Yeah. Right now at least getting a bit of a release on the gold here. And well, Castle Age is for both Villager and Jon Snow. That's also quite interesting, and well, the window of opportunity for a Villager, or rather for Bustos, is right now slightly closing, because if he cannot deal any kind of reasonable damage pretty soon, he's going to be facing Knights in just a moment, and that's not going to be an army that he will be taking on with just those normal archers. Chart right now clicking into Castle Age though as well. But I'm going to switch into Bustos, and he is, well, still missing quite a lot of extra resources actually.
Chart looks to be going for a very aggressive build. He's got 2 stables already. I expect he's going to mass knights early.
Oh well, what is Villager doing? He's actually trying to build the archer ranges right under the fire of those archers in there. He has already lost 3.
Oh wow.
Oh, well, he did finish
Villager's
off
so
4th
red.
dead. Oh my, he's going to lose maybe even the 5th in there. Well, it's just a shame. I kind of think that Bustos could be easily targeting the one villager that was building the second one. He just didn't move enough. Some complaints about the lag I have seen in the chat there, but well, he at least did finish those two archer ranges, but he's at 25 villages at this stage, advancing into Castle Age, whereas his opponents are, well, at least 10 ahead of him. 9 for Chart and 13 for Bustos. Well, that's a pretty huge difference. And yep, Village right now exactly commenting the same thing. That is probably not going to go all that well for him. Castle being
Definitely
dropped
not.
on the right side from Jon Snow next to the gold and the stone, basically to protect that because he's being raided by those scout cavalry by Chart. And it seems like that they are pretty decently walled in the middle of the map, but at the same time on the right side he's basically wide open. And I'm just waiting for him to potentially finish the wall, because obviously he's going to be in quite a lot of danger if he doesn't. PoJ Chan is going to be in castle, or rather already is in castle. That's going to be quite a lot of knights from him very soon. Red right now breaking through the palisade wall, and he's going to be encountering a bit of a cavalry archers. And I'm kinda thinking that Village right now needs to take this a bit slower, because he definitely cannot afford.
There.
Yeah, he cannot afford to lose any kind of army at this stage. But I'm thinking that Bustos won't be really hurrying himself into attack, because obviously once he's advancing into Castle Age, he will be aiming for crossbowmen very soon. And as much archers as he has right now, that will be a pretty strong raiding army from him.
Well, to be honest, it's already a really strong army. Like, versus mass cav archers or something, it's not going to do well, but Villager's eco is just so lean at the moment, he can't really afford to get a large enough army to take on these archers in a time.
Yeah, he's at least going for a bit of a raiding with his cavalry archers. But is there actually any way through to Red's base? It doesn't seem that on the left the gold should be reasonably protected. But from the right, obviously, as we have mentioned earlier at the start of the game, it's going to be very hard for him to actually close the wall. But he's slowly working on it. But still, it seems like that Blue actually changed his mind, as well, he's right now retreating back to his own base because he has lured his opponent back to his own base to actually defend. Right now switching, or rather upgrading into crossbowman and having a pretty big army. He just now deployed something that he had hidden in the archer range. And well, that's going to be quite tricky, especially without any kind of siege workshop for Blue. So he doesn't have any kind of mangonels, and yeah, well, that's going to be a bit of a toughie for a villager.
Oh, and it looks like Chart's got some cavalry running on the back of Jon Snow's base, and they might
Yeah, just now looking at it,
Villager's
but
base.
he seems to be actually heading into
That's
those
a lot
spearmen.
of spearmen.
Oh,
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 horrible.
yeah, he did run exactly into them. So that was pretty decent placement of the army by Jon Snow. Not exactly sure if it was really just some kind of a relic from the earlier raiding, but well, that was quite well played from him, and there's not really much to be raided from chart because everything is quite nicely protected by castles or town centers. And right now even some extra plume touches that are being built from the castle obviously, and this basically means that they will be probably doing the best job, both Bustos and Chart, to concentrate just on Villager, because right now they are having definitely an upper hand, and if all those knights from Chart can actually help in dealing with those cavalry archers, that could be pretty problematic for a Villager to deal with. Still not switching into some kind of other army. Like, I would be really expecting some kind of mangonels against this huge amount of archers overall, but he seems to be switching into knights at least. Oh, a bit of a wolf train in there.
I think he's mostly built the stable just to get bloodlines, and then just have a couple of knights for anti-mega
Oh,
LG.
well, that's pretty much it seems.
Yeah, that was really
Villager
fast.
is right now basically recognizing that with the double, well, even though I don't know, he hasn't lost a single unit actually when dealing, probably one cavalry archer when dealing with the yellow army. So that was a pretty good
Oh,
fight
but
for him.
Bustos
But
has so many
yeah,
crossbows there.
but the amount of crossbowmen without any kind of mangonels, that's literally too hard to deal with, even with knights. Especially with the potential to run on the hill in there and get some extra damage. Yeah, that's pretty neat from him. Okay, so that was kinda unexpectedly fast. Not exactly sure where it all went wrong. Potentially, I think that Villager went for a bit more greedy strategy than he could actually afford with the very late advance into the feudal age. And yeah, he basically opened himself in some pretty hard trading near the tower that he was trying to build, and that probably resulted in what we are seeing right now. Yeah, 35 villages, that's 14 less than Chart, 11 less than his opponent, that is other ally, Bustos, and that's quite a lot of difference overall. But still, I kind of think that's kind of early to resign here, because Jon Snow was very well off. And Blue did have quite a lot of cavalry archers, so maybe he could
Yeah,
have
they probably could
survived.
have kept playing for another
Yeah,
5, maybe even 10 minutes.
there was
I
still...
don't think they would have been able to win that game though.
Yeah, but just looking at how Yellow basically threw away his whole army in Blue's base and was having just a bit of knights on the right side, I'm kind of thinking that that would allow Jon Snow to either help Villager quite a lot or mount some pretty strong attack on Chart and basically force him to ask for help from Bustos, and that might still have given some extra time to Villager, who could have concentrated on some kind of raiding. Not really sure at this point though where he would be raiding, as the wall-in was kinda dense. But yeah, they probably thought that with the level of skill overall of all the players, that's pretty much it.
Or maybe
Looking
they
at
just didn't want to waste their time, just get the games over done with.
yeah, but well, PoJs definitely did get all the points that they needed, and they will be fighting against you tomorrow for quite a lot more important points right now. They will be deciding potentially even the #1 spot, because so far you are having just 2 losses, which is basically the best record so far with AOHD, if I remember correctly. And well, if you can manage to take both games from PoJ, that would definitely propel you into the first place, I think.
I think as long as we can draw, we'll be equal first. What happens with the other?
Well, if you are drawn on points, then it depends on either the mutual match. If there is a draw as well, then you are looking, or rather we are looking at the result against the next best team. And if there's consistency overall in that, then it would be a decider, potentially. Sometimes we don't do decider when we actually just need to decide who's going to be seated where, because there are other rules in play, like that the first cannot play with the second in, or rather before playoffs, or goddammit, before finals. So sometimes it's not even needed, but usually we like actually to let teams decide who is better and more worthy of better placement in the bracket. We'll see.
Ooh.
Okay then, GG.